What's going on, YouTube? Hope y'all missed me. I told y'all I'll be back with another one for today. It's kind of segue after last topic I had. Gave y'all a video earlier. I'm talking about how you know if you were chosen in your family. And I was saying one of the topics I was speaking on in the video was based on how you know you were chosen one, not just in the family, but in general, was how sometimes how jobs weren't for me. And just job force gave me a lot of trouble. And I said I was gonna do another video. I was gonna do a video on that topic. So without further ado, we can definitely get into that. Had a lot of trouble in the job force so far. I'm on 26 years of living, and I've been working 6 years of those 26 years. So this started introduction within that topic. I started my first job in 2019 when I was 20 years old. I was in college. Started at Taco Bell as a team member. Basically, what a team member does, they do a little bit of everything. Just kind of like sweeping, cleaning, preparing the food, just replacing drinks, taking out garbage. Just kind of like whatever role needed to be filled for that day. That's what I be. That's what I was filling in. Cleaning the bathroom, things like that. But I noticed one thing I noticed at that job was it was like immediate conflict, and I told myself like, wow, if this was how jobs gonna be, I'm having a hard time because I know like the type of person I am and what I stand for, it won't work for me. But it's kind of funny because the orientation at that job and during the hiring process, the managers made it seem very welcoming and easy. They told me that I'll be a part of the family. It's a family-oriented environment. It would be nothing like how it was. And it was the total opposite of that. So that clearly was a lie. And I was new to the job force. I was new to corporate America. And I definitely was new to fast food, the fast food restaurant industry, so I had no idea what I was even getting into. I was just trying to get some money and take care of myself and provide for my everyday needs in college. How does this college student, we need our money to wash, eat, keep ourselves clean, tissue, things like that. That's all I was spending my money on because, it was less than minimum wage I was getting paid out there. I was in a small town. So the cost of living was very cheap. It wasn't a lot of money was getting paid. I wasn't even working full time at that. So, this is a job offer I got out of all of the jobs I applied for. And I ended up taking it because it was something I needed to just kind of prevent from, calling and asking my parents for money every week and things like that. So yeah, like I said, it was immediate conflict within that job. From the first day, literally, I remember when I walked in, I was on the line. I was meal prepping with this young lady, and she was helping me make the tacos. Now it was different kind of tacos. I knew nothing about it because I don't even eat Taco Bell. I don't eat tacos, period. But it was different kind of tacos that people were making as they were coming through the drive-through, and some even in the restaurant. It was some were the supreme tacos, which were the ones that you put a little bit of everything on. Some lettuce, tomato, guacamole, and onions and things like that. They went a little bit of everything. But as she was passing me the shells with the cheese, she wanted me to put the meat on it, lettuce, tomato. Some of them want regular tacos. They want lettuce. Some of them just want lettuce and tomatoes. Some of them just want cheese. They want them different kind of ways. But the orders was coming in so fast, I was kind of, making mistakes. And it was my first time doing it. So, she was kind of getting irritated, like I was like stopping her job and hindering the process, basically, you could say. And, she went off on me a little bit. She was like kind of irritated and frustrated, like, you don't know what you're doing? You don't know this by now? And I told her, like, how am I supposed to know something in one day? You got to give me time. And at some point during the training process, she kind of like slowed up and really stopped verbally speaking. She just let me do it on my own. And that's what kind of also led me to be a little bit confused because I really didn't know what they were saying. I didn't know exactly what they wanted. Some of the customers, should I say, I didn't know what they wanted on their meals. And, that's what kind of led me to being confused. So yeah, that's what caused confusion, and we was just going at it. So the manager seen us kind of, had a little verbal altercation, and she put me in the dish room where the dishes were in the back of the restaurant. So when I did that, when I was in that area, I also had immediate conflict with this guy. He was supposed to be training how he, washed dishes, and I was noticing the way he washed them wasn't really sanitary. We had different orders with beans and rice. People be ordering, and he left a lot of the food that was left over in the pots, and I was noticing like that was very unsanitary. So he was telling me like, his the water, the soap, and the sanitizer and things like that. It's three different compartments in the sinks, three different sinks basically. And I was thinking to myself, well, if you wash dishes like this, how's he training me how to clean them if he ain't doing it? Because the way I wash dishes at home, I'm very clean, totally clean, and they're more sanitary than this, and that's how I'm gonna do it in the workforce. I take whatever I'm doing at home, and especially with a job like that, and apply it to my workforce, apply it to the job. That's what I was doing. So I was thinking like, that probably would work. So, when he gave me a chance to wash dishes, I was taking a little more time because, I was getting make sure all the food, the lettuce, the meat, cheese, or whatever was out of the pot, and anything that needed to be soaked with hot water, I was sitting still and sitting to the side, and he was telling me like, you're moving a little slow, they're gonna fire you. And I said, I don't really care. I got this job, I'll get another one. He was like, okay, well, it is what it is. I'm just telling you, and they're gonna get rid of you. So he was kind of like, we went at it a little bit. It wasn't no threat or nothing like that, but he was like basically trying to say like that's the only opportunity I had to work or something like that. I don't know. But like I said, the way he was washing the dishes, it wasn't really something that I know I would follow. I had my own way of doing it. That's what I practiced. That's what I went with. I didn't go with what he was doing because it just didn't make sense to me. And if I would have did it, I'm sure they would have fired me for sooner, but that's besides the point. And, like I said, it was immediate conflict. So, it's a time when I still was on the dish room. I really didn't do meal prep too much after that. I probably did it maybe once or twice. I can't remember too many more times. It's been so long, but I know I wasn't on the line making the preps too much more. I was dropping the food, so I was putting the food in the oven and on the fryer and things like that. But I remember the situation with that. Some of the chalupas and tortillas, some of the chalupas and the shells and things like that, they put in the fryer, they were overcooked, or some of them were undercooked and things like that. I didn't know the exact time or temperature to put them in, just like the steak and chicken. I wasn't told a lot of things. I wasn't trained properly, so that had a lot to do with the start of what was to come with my other job. But I was expressing that at that job, and a lot of the managers, I think, one of them was saying like, if you make this order wrong, or if you keep dropping like that, we're gonna fire you. And I was telling them, you're not training me, so what you expect? It was just so much going on. I ended up getting called one day. I was actually on schedule one day, and we had so many orders, it allowed the dishes to pile up because I was washing dishes. That was part of my job. And on top of filling the drinks and sweeping and mopping and taking out garbage. And then as the time went on, it went from the beginning of the school year when it was hot and it was cold outside. So not only then I had class too. So I used to be coming from work. I used to be coming from class. I'm sorry to work. So during the weekdays I might have a PM shift, maybe like 4 to 12 or 5 to 11, something like that. And on the weekends I might work from like 8 to 4. So it was during the weekdays that really was, I'd be trying to get my job done and hurry up and get back to my dorm rooms. I'd do homework, study, wake up for class in the morning, go back to work whenever I have my schedule. But one day we had so many customers coming in and out and doing the drive-thru. It was a very busy day. And I had a lot of dishes to wash by myself, no help. And that's what hindered the process. That's what made me, kind of slow my job. It was so much to do by myself. I was getting called to steady drop the food, so that'll make me have to slow up on the dishes, so I wasn't able to attend to them and get to, that particular aspect of the job so much, because that was the main priority to me, because it was more of that than anything. Sometimes they want me to, come on the line and help. Then they want me to they want me to drop the food. The drinks need to be refilled. The garbage need to be taken out. So there's a lot to do as a team member. And like I said, I was new to the fast food industry. It was so quick, a lot of in and out takeouts and things like that. So I had ended up staying maybe like 2 hours after I was supposed to be on, because I think I had clocked out at I was supposed to clock out, should I say, maybe 10 p.m. And the manager, as soon as I actually clocked out, she was like, well, we need you to stay 2 more hours. And I'm like, what? She didn't inform me of this. Prior to that, she informed me after I clocked out. She knew that already. So I was getting ready to go. I was tired. I had to go to home. I had to go to school the next day. And I was like, well, I hope you don't do that again, because I'm not going to stay. So, we had problems. I had a lot of problems with people there for a lot of different reasons. And like I said, it just was a bad situation. But basically, the final straw with that job was it was on me. I will admit that, but there was a lot of conflict. Um, it would have happened regardless, honestly, whether it ever happened or not. But the final straw with that particular job was I was off on the weekend. It was a Friday, so I had to 2 days on the weekend off. I had a lot of homework. I had a lot of studying. I had to get my hair cut. I had to wash. I had to do grocery shopping. I had a lot of things to do. And I was off those days, so that's what I was going to take care of. But I was thinking to myself, with the little paychecks I get, it was only like $150 an hour. I was only using it to get my hair cut, washed. I was using that to do the things I had to do, so the money was gone quick, just as soon as I got it, because I was only working maybe like 30 hours a week or something like that, and I was going to get paid $8.25. That's really not a lot of money when you got priorities. And, I'd be calling right back home and asking my mom for like $20, $30, something like that. She'll send it. And somebody had sent me their schedule to see if I wanted to fill in for them, and I declined it at first. But like I said, I was thinking about the money I could use on the next paycheck, which was up the upcoming week. So I told them, we had an app, I forgot what it was called, but it was the way that people see their schedules, and they could take a shift, somebody have it available and things like that. They see the days they clock in and clock out, or they see the schedule they have. That's what we had. I don't remember the name of the app. But like I said, somebody sent me their schedule. I declined it at first, and I told the guy to send it. You can send it back if you want to, and I'll take it. So I took the schedule, but I'm still thinking about all the stuff I got to do, the homework, the studying, the haircut. I got to go grocery shopping. I got to get my personal items. I want that weekend to myself, but I need the money. So I was kind of like caught in between on what I really want to do. I couldn't make my mind up. And I'm an indecisive person in a lot of situations, but that kind of cost me. But I really didn't look at it as no loss. But I called in, finally, I'm like, you know what? No, I'll just call in. I believe this was the day of, or it could be the day before. It might have been still the day before, the night before I had to go to work. So I ended up calling, I called the manager. I was like, hey, I took someone's shift. I got a lot to do. I got homework. I got to study. I got to go to Walmart. I got to do grocery shopping. I got to get my haircut. I just got so much to do, and I'm off. I know I took the shift, but is there any way I can, give it to someone else? And I called the one manager. She answered the phone. She's like, well, yeah, when you take someone's shift, you're supposed to show up, and if you don't show up, you're going to get fired. And that's all she said. But she gave the phone to another manager. She had me hold on a couple minutes. He answered the phone, and we was talking. I told him the same thing, and he was like, "Well, yeah, that's not. You're not supposed to do that. You took someone's shift. You're supposed to show up, and you ain't gonna come. We got to fire you." And I told him, "Well, I didn't know that." I said, "Okay, well, I'll be up there." So I ended up coming up there, and I walked. It wasn't too far from where I'm staying there. So I ended up walking up to the job, and I wanted to discuss that with him, like, why did you fire me over the phone? So when I walked up and seen me, he was like standing outside the restaurant on his break or whatever. And he was with the same young lady that I was having problems with in the restaurant. We also had problems over like the dish table, washing the dishes and things like that, because that's what I was doing. But as she was on the line, and she had a lot of the pots and the pans and the trays and things like that, the knives. She had all of the utensils and things I had to wash. So she had them closer to her, but I had the table by me on the dish area, because it was a little more reliable to see exactly what I was working with and what I was cleaning. So she kept putting the table down and said, "Excuse me, would you mind keeping the table next to me? You could just bring me the dishes and I'll wash them." She just never listened. She just really didn't reply to it. She just kept putting the table back and just throwing the dishes on the table, and I pulled it back to me. But that's what we got into it about that. That was prior to me getting fired. But anyway, I talked to the guy. I just walked up to him and I said, "Hey, I want to talk to you." He was like, "Well, what you want to talk about?" I told him I want to talk to you about my job. You fired me on the phone. Let me know what's going on with that. He's like, "Well, I'm outside. It's cold. I'm on break right now. I can't talk right now." So he said he can't talk. But what I did know was it was another female manager that was there. Now, I wasn't too fond of most of the people there, probably like 2 or 3 people. We wasn't friends or anything, but, they were cool with me. We had, mutual conversations. They were kind of funny or things like that. I'm really not a social person at work, so I don't really congregate and laugh and talk and share my personal information with people like that. So I think that offends a lot of people, but they were cool. One of the managers, I didn't have any issues with her, and she told me that even though the situation did happen, I did call in to take the shift. That was against the protocol. But she said I didn't know that. I told her I didn't know that I was supposed to, if no one comes in, that I'll get fired. She said that's true. She said they were going to fire me. It was supposed to be in person, not over the phone. She said so that's against their protocol. She said so they can get fired for that. And I said, oh, okay. And she said she'll try to see if she can help me get my position back. And that ended up happening. At least I thought. So maybe about a week later, I just got a random text on the app, with a schedule. It didn't say you got your job back. It didn't say anything like that. So I'm automatically knowing, okay, I got the job back, and it just showed my schedule for the whole week. I don't know exactly what it was, but I know it was like Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday, something like that. Like I said, mind you, I'm in class still, so I still got to come to class. I still got to go to class and go to work after that. So I was like, okay, I got the job back. So I go to the job. I go to work. I put on my uniform, go to work. Now when I show up, it was a Monday. The manager, she was telling me that as soon as I walked in the door, everybody was looking, but I don't know if they knew the situation because I didn't discuss this with anybody. And the manager, she was like, well, hey, you're not supposed to be in here. You don't work anymore. You trespass. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You don't know I'm on schedule today? I got a whole schedule for the whole week. And plus, I was early. I came early, so I think I was working from 3 to 11 or something like that. I came at about 2:45. And she was like, no, you're not supposed to be here. You trespass. You got to go. You don't work here no more. And I was confused on what she was talking about because I had a whole schedule. And I showed her that. So she said, well, I got to call the police. And she just ran. She ran in the manager's office or something like that. And everyone that was preparing the food and cooking and things like that, they were like looking confused. I guess they didn't know the situation. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And I ended up leaving. So that just told me a lot I need to know about what was to come in the near future up until today about these jobs. I'm like, yes, it's going to definitely be a long road, and this is not for me. So I think, what I can say with that is just God was preparing me for what was to come. And, I feel like it was definitely not a loss because it wasn't nothing. They wasn't paying nothing anyway. It wasn't nothing to gain. It wasn't really for me, but he was showing me at a young age how, I was applying for jobs since I was 16 years old. So that just goes to show you I always had that, just that hustle mentality. I was always dedicated to making my own income, trying to provide for myself. I never wanted to be a spoon-fed kid, even though I was only a child for a while. I never wanted to be the type of person to have my hand out and not be able to do something for myself. I always wanted to go get it and make a way. And I was applying for jobs for 4 years until I got one. So that was thousands of applications at least until I got a job. And that wasn't even up here. I didn't get a job where I stay at. So, that says a lot. But, I think God, he was just basically in that situation showing me how it wasn't for me. And that's not the lane he's going to take me in. And I worked at many places, Starbucks, Whole Foods, schools, hospitals. And one thing I do notice about all these jobs is they have similar people. A lot of the people are like, kind of very cocky, boastful. Some of them are envious, and I be noticing. I be thinking to myself, when they get rid of me, it's always for like no reason. That's what I noticed as I was progressing and going on different journeys and, being employed at different places. There was always no substantial reason or to be a lie. They would make up lies and conspiracies within a matter of months or days or whatever because they don't like me. And I think it was never a personal problem that I have with these people unless they said something to me. Unless they were like verbally disrespectful to me, I would, communicate that, I'm not going to accept that. So watch how you talking and, I'm just not going for that. And I think that when you show that side of you, when you show that you got integrity and morals, that offends a lot of people. On top of my personality, because I'm the type of person that I'm very private and secretive. I'm very private, and I don't speak unless it's substance and value of what I'm saying. So I don't just go to work like a lot of people do. They just talk and gossip and laugh and joke and try to make friends and get validation. I'm not the type of person. I just go to work, do my job, come home. I just want to make my money. And, I just want to be me. Not saying I'm just socially unavailable because, I can have a great conversation. Of course, y'all see this on my channel. Y'all gonna definitely get a chance to know me a little better. And y'all see how intuitive and intelligent I speak, so y'all can definitely see that from watching me. I appreciate the support once again from all my family and subscribers. I appreciate y'all the family too. But when you come to the workforce, it's totally different because when you're a person like me that's been called to do so much more, you don't fit and you don't resonate in those environments. You don't resonate with the people, and you don't fit in those environments. That's not for you, and that's something I have to learn and understand as I grow and as I grew, should I say, and as I embarked on different journeys and I went to different places of the workforce. They all are basically the same. And we live in a capitalist society where everything's about money. The whole agenda is about money, how to make these corporations, brands, and all these Fortune 500 companies even richer and more successful than they are. And I just don't agree with that. So I don't knock nobody for working. If you gotta work and make your money and that's how you make your living and pay your bills or whatnot and support your children. If you got kids, do it. I ain't saying don't get your money and work. I know times are hard. The economy is rising. We in a crisis, and oil is going up. Rent is high. Everything's expensive. Gas prices, car notes, everything. So I understand food is expensive. So get your money how you gotta get your money, but do it in the righteous way and understand. I just encourage everybody to have an exit plan. Find your purpose in life, what really makes you happy. And understand that you should go after that. Don't live life making somebody else rich and wealthy and that you will never meet besides the manager. Today, these people are very wicked and evil, and because 9 times out of 10, when you're on the higher calling, you're not gonna, your spirit is not gonna align with them. And I have to understand that and learn that. And you'll just be living life chasing the dollar. I put dignity over dollars. That's something I reiterate with these people. And they don't live like that. And I feel like a lot of these people, what I know from experience, all the managers and supervisors and team leaders, they hold titles over humanity. They hold that over dignity and morality and righteousness. So when you step into an environment like that with those type of traits, if you got the righteousness, integrity, self-respect, the security within yourself, a lot of those people, they don't have that because without those jobs, they're nobody. Without the salary, they don't amount to anything. They don't know how to identify themselves outside of those job forces, and that's offensive to them. So, you got to understand a lot of those people out there to take you down, and they don't have your best interest. So that's how I understood the workforce is not for me. Jobs aren't for me, and I know God has so much more in store for me. He's already placed a lot of business goals and aspirations on my heart, and He's called me to do so much more in society, and I'm very impactful. I'm someone that's I'm called here to uplift and lead and encourage and store a lot of knowledge into people as I gain it. And I'm here to be the employer. All my checks I sign gonna say president, CEO, and founder, not employee forever. I'm just not. That just title just don't fit me. And every time I get around like old family members I haven't seen in a while, they always want to ask the same question. What you doing now? Have you found a job? What's going on with you? And I always say the same thing. I haven't found one. I ain't working, but they don't ever want to give me no type of advice, or they don't want to refer me to who's hiring, or they don't want to try to connect me with a manager or nothing like that. They just want to get information. I think it's to either use it against me or brag on what they've done, or ridicule me in some type of way, or say something when I'm not around. Or for the most part, it's to be judgmental or be boastful, or they want to just kind of get into my business and kind of be a little nosy. That's what I feel. But you got to be mindful of people like that too, because they're not in your corner. They don't mean well when they ask those type of questions. They really want to use that against you. So you got to be mindful of those type of people too. And I really encourage them. Like I said, I encourage anybody that's working. Stack your paper, get your money. Make sure you do whatever you can while you can, and get up out of there, because these jobs don't love nobody. They don't look at us like a number and just another number and another statistic, and they can get rid of or replace it at any moment. So I came back at y'all with another video, man. I'm gonna get this going. I'm gonna get this submitted for YouTube. I gotta definitely work on my editing. I know y'all been seeing the content I put out. I've been trying to do what I can to learn some editing skills. So like I said, this will be uploaded by the time y'all see this. It'll probably be sometime tomorrow. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Get this turn on your post notification bell so you see all notifications and spread the message. Y'all be safe out there. Much love.